said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command that these stones become loaves of bread." He said in reply, "It is written, 'One does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes forth from the mouth of God.'" Then the devil took him to the holy city and made him stand on the parapet of the temple and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, 'He will command his angels concerning you, and with their hands they will support you, lest you dash your foot against a stone.'" Jesus answered him, "Again it is written, 'You shall not put the Lord your God to the test.'" Then the devil took him up to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in their magnificence. And he said to him, "All these I shall give to you, if you will prostrate yourself and worship me." At this Jesus said to him, "Get away, Satan. It is written, 'The Lord your God shall you worship, and him alone shall you serve.'" Then the devil left him, and behold, angels came and ministered to him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
A man named Elon, in his book, "What's Right with the Church," tells about leading a Sunday school class that was studying the temptations of Jesus in the wilderness. After careful study and explanation of each of the three temptations, Dr. Williman asked, "How are we tempted today?" A young salesman was the first to speak. He said, "My boss called me in yesterday and said, 'I'm going to give you a real opportunity. I'm going to give you a bigger sales territory. We believe that you are going places, young man. But I don't want a bigger sales territory,' the young salesman told his boss. 'I'm already away from home 4 nights a week. It wouldn't be fair to my wife and my daughter.' 'Look,' the boss replied, 'we're asking you to do this for your wife and your daughter. Don't you want to be a good husband and father? It takes money to support a family these days. Sure, your little girl doesn't take much money now, but think of her future. Think of her education. I'm only asking you to do this for them,' the boss said." The young man told the class, "Now, that's temptation." My sisters and brothers, we heard 2 stories about temptation tonight. Adam and Eve in the first reading, and Jesus in the Gospel. A few things about temptations, if you will. The first is, like the story I just read to you, temptations are very subtle at times. You don't think that Lucifer or Satan or Beelzebul or the Prince of Darkness or whatever you want to call him is going to appear in your midst in a bright red suit with a pointy horns and a forked tail and a pitchfork. Because if he did, what would you do? You'd run the other way, right? You'd be afraid. You would go. Temptations are subtle. They're in the form of something nice, not necessarily evil. Jesus was not tempted to do something bad. Adam and Eve were tempted to do something evil. They were just offered an alternative to those elusive things like trust, God, for the more tangible things like security, power, and money. Temptations, don't mistake them. They're always going to be some. Second thing about temptations, they occur when we are most vulnerable. Look at Jesus in the desert. 40 days walking, starving, probably needed companionship, a haircut, a shower, some food. The devil gave him the first temptation for food. He was vulnerable. He could have succumbed. We are sometimes vulnerable. I got a text on Friday. The storm hit. Many people didn't have power. And the text read, "Is it okay for me to have meat on Friday?" I said, "Is this a test?" To myself. Well, it's Friday. I said, maybe this is God testing your fidelity, your strength. Yeah, you're vulnerable. You're tired. Maybe you've been studying. Maybe you've been helping others. But are you still going to be faithful in the midst of vulnerability? Third thing about temptation. They challenge our identity. Imagine Jesus walking up to you right now and giving you the biggest hug and squeeze and saying, "You're my greatest treasure." You'd say, "Oh, I'm not. I'm a sinner. I choose to sin sometimes. I choose not to be virtuous sometimes." We don't want to believe that we are God's beloved. Did you hear Satan? He said to Jesus, God's own son, "If you are the Son of God, if you are the Son of God." Of course he's the Son of God. No ifs. He wanted to challenge Jesus to think, maybe I'm not so beloved in God's eyes. Maybe God is not happy with me for some ungodly reason. Always challenging our identity and challenging our trust in the God who loves us unconditionally. Fourth and finally, temptations are relentless. Relentless. Jesus, he overcame the 3 temptations in the desert. But in another gospel, it says the devil looked for another opportunity to tempt Jesus. And he found it numerous times throughout his life. It wasn't, "I beat Satan in the desert, I'm home free." Do you remember when he talked to his disciples about his impending passion? St. Peter, the rock, said, "God forbid that you would ever have to suffer." Jesus' words, "Get behind me, Satan." He knew he had a path, and it was God's will he had to accomplish. How about on the cross? He gave his life on the cross, and one of the thieves said to him, "If you're the Messiah, save yourself and us." He didn't listen. Temptations were relentless for Jesus. You don't think we're going to escape. They're going to be relentless for us. But every time we say no to Satan, every time we trust in that magnificent, unconditional love of God, every time we believe that we are God's beloved treasure and can overcome the slightest temptation, I don't care, whatever it is a small victory. It gives us a reminder of the next time to say, wait, I beat that one time with the grace of God. I don't have to fall prey again. You know how it goes. You know, if you fall and you succumb to temptation, you hear the little voice in your head that says, "Oh, it's okay. You can do it again.
You did it already. You're not good anymore. Bull. We are God's beloved no matter what. Even in the act of sinning, God says to us, you are still my beloved child. The fact is, we do fall. We do sin. Hence, we need reconciliation. As often as we fall, we need reconciliation. This coming Thursday is one of the diocesan penance services at Pleasant Sacrament Church, about 7 miles away, beginning at 7 o'clock. Bishop Burbage himself will be the main presider of the service, and there will be at least 10 priests available for reconciliation. I offer reconciliation every Tuesday from 3:30 to 4:30 in the Newman Pavilion on March 19th, after Wednesday Night Catholic, at Hope Chapel. There'll be reconciliation. I came across this little prayer, and I think maybe it could be all of our prayers. It says, today and through all of Lent, we ask your forgiveness, Lord, for my own self-pity, for my own lukewarmness, for my times of despair and distrust, for my refusals to be hugged, for my disbelief in your love, for my searchings everywhere but in your heart, for apologies that are frozen on my lips, for my words of love unspoken, for my kisses and embraces not given, for compliments never offered, for a heart closed in self-absorption, for my own unwillingness to forgive even myself, for not believing in your forgiveness. Help me, merciful and loving God, to rely on you and to divest myself